So I'm Rabbi Mordecai here, and we're still in this amazing process of discovery and growth of this new spiritual economy. And, those of you who heard the first class on this or session or whatnot, you heard the basis that we use, which is Rabbi Nachman's outlook. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, and what he writes in the Likutei Moharan, and he predicts the future of all business, that he said in the end of days there will be no business, because business as a mechanism represents two different desires meeting some type of a middle ground, right? Through exchange, right? So there's a person who wants to buy and there's a person who wants to sell. There's a person who needs something and there's a person who wants to give over, right? So this, in the end of days, mankind is going to be of one consciousness, right? Mankind is going to be of one consciousness, and we're going to be completely unified in thought and reality, and collectively experiencing this higher dimension of godly connection, right? So that's the future. So we're saying, okay, if that's the future, we want to work backwards, right? Because now that we know what the destination is, we want to start to work backwards, right? And we want to go backwards, and we want to get to a place, where we're at right now, right? And we want to be able to see where we're at right now, and we want to be able to look all the way into the future and see what Rabbi Nachman was saying, and we want to be able to connect to the stages to get there, right? So to get there, it requires us to really have a clear understanding of the landscape of which we're dealing with, right? Like, we have to clearly understand it, right? Because we're evolving into a new era where there's a new set of potentials, right? There's a new set of potentials moving forward, but the thing is, it's like this. The thing is that we have to take into an account that what negates new opportunities is past belief systems. So let's start with this concept. Let's call this concept, you're late, right? You with me? You're late, right? So what is this concept of you're late? So when you think about our experiences, especially like in North America, most of us went to traditional schools, which is, like they say, K through 12, right? So for 12 years of our life, right, we go through this process of having to be in class, and not only having to be in class, having to be at class on time. And if you're late, you're penalized. It's amazing, right? Like, if you're penalized, if you choose to say, I want to come at another time, you're penalized. You're called tardy. And you have tardies, and is a part of your record that describes who you are, right? We're going to get to the report card. But right now, we're just dealing with the concept of you're late. So we're trained every day to not be late. Now, what reinforces this training is the fact that our parents had to drop us off, whether it was a bus stop or the school itself. Depending, some people would walk to school, I hear that. But they still had to be out of the house by a certain time, right? Why? Because our parents were rushing to work. Our parents were rushing to work. And so us seeing our parents waking up in the morning, seeing that, coupled with the fact that where we were going was expecting us to be there at a certain time. And not only being there at a certain time, you had to be standing in line, in a perfectly filed line, to enter the classroom. And you had to sit inside of your seat, right? And you had to listen with undivided concentration to this teacher give over this information, and you were judged The quality of your existence was judged based on your ability to regurgitate what that person said, to give back over. 12 years of your life. So if you were good at it, it was a great time. You got a lot of positive reinforcement. If you were not good at that, you were ridiculed, demised, and in most cases, ostracized. This is the beginning of shaping our entire personality. This institution was given this power to shape my entire personality. Who says so? Where does it say that in the Torah? Torah says you got to make yourself a rabbi, make yourself a friend. Right? When it says rabbi, there's an interesting story about it's a story. It's a Baal Shem Tov story, and it's about two men. One of the men was drunk. One of the men is sober, and they're trying to get to one side of a town to another side of the town, and there's a shortcut through this forest. And, they heard rumors about this forest, but that it was kind of like a dangerous place, but they weren't sure. But they really had to get to the other side. So the one that's sober kind of hesitates and says, should we go in there? Should we just walk around? It may take us a couple more days, but we have to walk over. We could walk around, and I do a shortcut through the forest. And the drunk one says, no, let's just do it. Let's go. We will be safe. We're strong. People be scared of us. So anyways, they go in and, as you can imagine, they dealt with every challenge you can imagine. Everything from beehives to bandits to slumps to leeches to, physical fights, all types. I mean, it's just, we'll be here. If I went into the details that happened. So anyways, we'll be here all day. So they eventually make it through the forest. And as they come out, there's a group of people coming in, right? And they see these guys, they're like, whoa, right? And as these three guys walk up to the two gentlemen, the one sober one, the one that's drunk. And keep in mind, the one who's drunk, he's been drinking away. He's had a flask, and he's just been like, he never diverted from his drunkenness, right? And so when these three men come up to them and say, like, we heard things about this forest. What do you guys? I mean, like, is it as bad as everyone says? Is it worth going through? And so the drunk one jumps in the conversation, and he says, oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just go through, live life. There's challenges everywhere you go, there's challenges. Just go. Don't worry about it. And then one of the three guys says to him, he says, what? He said, look, your nose is bleeding, your eye is black, your shirt's ripped up, you got scabs all over you. Like, what do you mean? You're missing nails? Looks like your teeth are chipped. Like, what are you talking about? And then the other one that's sober, the other friend that's sober, starts to speak and says, hey, you know what? This is what it's like. When you walk 15 meters to your left, there is a swamp. And he takes them through the whole process of everything that they're going to be faced with on this journey through the forest. It goes into every detail. I'm talking about like down to like so many meters left, so many meters right type of thing, right? He gives them all the coordinates. And he tells them about what they experienced, right? As he's giving them these directions, right? And what happened to them, right? And so the Baal Shem Tov brings that story to say that this is making yourself a rabbi. A rabbi is a person who could get you through the darkness, that could tell you about the challenges that you're going to face on your path going in one particular direction, and he can give you the coordinates. He could tell you to go over there and say this to this person over here and do this over there, and he could get you to the other side. Or you can listen to what people want to tell you a rabbi is, or a leader is, or education, which is the drunk guy who doesn't take any accountability, that just tells you to live your life and don't worry and everything's all good and live la vida loca, right? That's the world that we live in. But the person you want to talk to is a person that could get you through. It's not about who memorizes the most of Shas, right? I mean, that's very important when you're going to give people advice on halacha and these different things. But when people generally want to connect to a rabbi or spiritual person, they're looking for guidance through these obstacles. And only someone with life experiences who've been through those battles can give you the coordinates on how to get there, right? So the school system itself, right? The school system itself, if you fit into this system and this way of learning, you're great. And if not, you're bad. You're problematic. You're a problematic student. There's something wrong with you because you do not learn in this specific way, right? And to cement it, and to cement the concept, they give you this branding certification of your identity that they had this power to bestow and to articulate called a report card. I'm just saying, who said these people are qualified to determine who you are and to shape your existence and to tell you your value to the world? Who gave them this power? This is unbelievable. They literally do this and they give it to you every so many months. They tell you who you are and you feel that pain from this letter that determines your value. This is what you became. You're being trained that your value is based off of someone else's receipts. They get to determine who you are, not you. You don't get to say, actually, you know what? I give myself a get. You know, that's a real school. Real school lets a kid say, hey, you know what? I give myself an A on my reading. I give myself a B. I could get better. With this, I don't really try so much. I give myself a C. Let the kid design themselves, because that's all they're going to have for the rest of their life. You're taking away the very thing that allows children or human beings to substantiate what makes them greater than any other species, that we can define our existence. Don't tell me just about, you know, I could change, you know, my gender and anything like that. Fine, all that, whatever. I'm talking about the real transformation. The real transformation is that I can decide who I am. I can decide how I define myself. And no one else has the power to do that but me. Now, I see it a certain way because of my belief systems, right? But someone else could have a different set of belief systems, but we can agree on that core value. That the power of the human being is the ability to define themselves as they see fit. And society should accommodate that self-definition, right? It's not, no one's going to tell me who I am. Now, me, I'm a person who follows the Torah. So the Torah defines for me who I am. It defines reality for me. To me, that's easier. I trust that. I trust that system of definitions. These other systems of definition, I'm explaining to you the indoctrination process that we go through as students, as young people in America, right? And I'm saying that is the same system that perpetuates universities. And that's the same system that perpetuates professors and all of their knowledge. They're part of that same system. So why am I subjugating myself to their information saying that their information is superior in math and science and health because they went to this institution and they received a certification. I can't find out these things on my own in the information age. So it's just saying, do we want to take power back for ourselves or not? That's what we're talking about here. You could keep going onto the system and keep looking around you and think everyone has solutions for you. The world is solutions for you. You have a health issue, your ear hurts, you go this place. Your toe hurts, you go to this place. Your lip hurts, you go this way. Your feelings are hurt, go to this way. You want this type of food, go this way. You want this type of clothes, go this way. Anything you want, the world is there servicing you. But everything's outside of you. Everything that you need exists, but it's outside of you. You just got to find it. You got to have enough money to get it. You want peace of mind? You need to go to the Bahamas. You need to go to the Virgin Islands and relax there. But geez, darn it, heck, you got to pay for it. You got to pay for my hotel. You got to pay for my rent-a-car. You got to pay for my insurances. You got to pay for my plane ticket. You got to buy some luggage. You got to buy some clothing, some tan oil. And when you get there, you got to buy food. You got to buy drinks. You got to party. You got to dance. You got to barely make it home because you had so many drinks. You're having such a great time. Everything that we're experiencing is projected. It's all projected. Just like you went to school and someone told you how smart you were, they now projected onto you their reality. That it doesn't stop when you graduate high school. Everything around us is under this same system. We could choose to look at it or we don't, but that's what it is. And if we're talking about building a new economy, we have to understand the basis of what we're dealing with, right? Because the thinking process, education, as my mom always says, she's a professor, education produces society. All the time, anywhere you go to a supermarket, you go to a fast food place, hopefully it's kosher, you go anywhere you go in any type of metropolitan city, and you sit there and you observe the people, and you could tell exactly the education systems that are in those environments. Meaning the quality of education in that particular environment. What type of individuals being produced in this type of a community, right? Are the teachers inspired or are the teachers depressed? Are kids going to university or are kids dropping out? Right? That's all environmental. So this is all a projection. And we could go along with it and we can accept it and say, hey, you know what? It's all good. I'm down with eating the fake reality. I'll keep going along with it. But we're never going to be fulfilled. Because the society was not designed to fill the neshama. If this is a whole conversation on building a new spiritual society, go back, check it out. It's another YouTube thing. I go into it for 3 classes. This whole concept of how the society, it was never designed to fill our souls. It never took our souls into an account in anything that it was designed. And we go even further, explain it's not just society, it's the way Hashem designed this level of malchut, this level of Asiya, right? That dynamic, that world was always built to be a vacuum. So it was always going to have a lack, right? We had to rise above to be able to connect to the life force of Hashem. So the point is going on to we have to deconstruct this concept of how we define ourselves. And then after we receive that self-definition, then we go off and we go to college, or we don't. That's another level of definition, right? Higher education versus not. Then once you're in college, the people who made it into college, then they go to master's and doctorate, right? Right? They have those categories, and that also defines you. Once that process of definition is complete through graduation, then you enter the workforce. Right? And then you go and get a job that's based off of this definition that you've received by this. Now, this is where it gets scary, and this is where you gotta have a lot of courage. This is where you gotta have a lot of courage. If everybody wanted to be a CEO, there would be nobody who would be the secretary. If everybody wanted to be the secretary, then you wouldn't have people who wanted to be the vice president. And if everybody wanted to be the vice president, you wouldn't have the guy who's the middle manager. And if you don't have the guy who's the middle manager, then you don't have the guy who's the head of sales, right? All the way to the janitor, all the way to the guy who's a garbage man, all the way to the guy who's a police officer, all the way to the person who's a paramedic, all the way to the person who's homeless, right? So that means that these self-definitions have to be imposed in a strategic way so we have an equal distribution of people seeking work in specific areas that allows everything to function. The homeless person is just as important as the CEO of a company in terms of how everything functions in a particular city, because all of them represent an aspect of revenue and job creation, right? For the homeless issue, there's tons of job creation. There's shelters, there's this, hospitals, all these different things based around this funds, this. So they exist. The person who's the CEO is a person who's creating a business, he's creating jobs, doing it. Everybody is functional in some type of a way. Everybody who's a homeowner, everybody who owns a car, right? People who buy clothes, all these things are generating jobs and cash and circuitry of money and cash flow. So the point is saying I have to be convinced, depending on where my environment is, that I should be a salesperson. I could be convinced based off my environment that I should be a CEO. I could be convinced because of my environment that I should be maybe a drug dealer. I could be convinced because of my environment that I should be, a teacher, whatever these things are. But they're all projected places that we should end up that allows us to be functional in an already pre-existing system. It's huge stuff, man, because now I have to reevaluate myself, because I went through that suggestive, manipulative process called public education. I went through that. And I got to ask myself, how did it affect me? Is it still affecting me to this day? Am I still defining myself on these terms? Am I still thinking that because I didn't fit into those systems and what those people were doing, that there's something inherently wrong with me? Am I still holding there? In my life, do I still hear those voices? It's time to, we got, if we're going to participate in a new world, we have to let go of old baggage. You got to let go of old baggage. And these old baggage are the things that we were told that were absolutely lies. There were lies, all of them. They were all lies. None of them were true. Every single bit of it was a lie. Even the compliments, even the encouragements, all of it's lies, because it was all rooted in suggestion, making me perceive that I should go a particular place in life. That's it. How many young Black men are pursuing sports versus chemistry? You know what I'm saying? In our society, being LeBron James or even right out of high school is possible, right? But being a chemist, being a scientist, who wants to see that? That's not exciting. That's not cool. The human mind isn't cool. Intellect isn't cool. Just a physical body, strength, power, dominance. But they only could be expressed inside of a league that's controlled. And if your behavior is out of control, you'll be fined. There's referees that tell you, how to function. But this is what we're living in. See, I see LeBron James kids. It's an amazing good. They're a very positive image of a Black American family. I'm into it. But you just think about the brainwash mechanism that his kids are like breaking their necks to be these like superstar basketball players. You see what I'm saying? When the sages talk about Yitzhak, and they say Yitzhak's prayers were answered, and when it comes to the pregnancy of Rivka, right? And the Mepharshim goes into, I think it's Orach Chaim, they go into this whole thing, and they speak about this idea that Yitzhak found his own way. He just wasn't a guy who was about tshuva, which is great. A person is in a dark place and they know they're Jewish, but they're just covered in klipa because of the lack of information that they have, and their soul has just been damaged for so many decades. And maybe one day they make it out. They meet a nice rabbi, they go to some nice dinners, and they grow. Baruch Hashem. But there's another thing when you grow up around the greatest of the greatest Gedolim and Rosh Hashivot and this humongous people. And even within all of that, you have this unique koach to express the Torah in your unique way. Everybody in the world would have been looking at you to be like, give over the same exact Torah of Avraham Avinu. He was so great. Do exactly what he did. And Yitzhak didn't do that. He found his own way. He did what he had to do. He expressed Torah in the way that he did. He didn't copy what his father and his mother did. He went on a dude derek. The same destination, but the unique path for that generation needed. Right? He was willing to be sacrificed. You know what I mean? Like he was on a whole different thing. His dad never, I guess you could say his dad got thrown into the pit. Like it's the same thing. I don't know. But the point is just saying that this is the point, right? This is the point. Is that this ultimate power is being able to find out like who we really are, why we're really here. Right? And that comes through a process of being able to peel back the layers of perception that have been given to us. And now we could think as full adults and say, like, you know what? Why do I believe that about myself? Like, I mean, maybe it's true. Fine. Let's start there. Maybe it's true. But the point is, I'm still asking the question, why do I believe that about myself? I need to know that. Even the most great thing. Mordecai, you're a great speaker. Why do I believe that about myself? Oh, we got people say this, but but where does that mean that they're saying I'm a great speaker? What does it mean when someone says you're a great speaker? Does it mean that you're a great speaker, or does it mean that you're speaking similar to other people who've had success in speaking and popularity? You're similar to that, a similar projection or clarity, whatnot. And it's not saying it's not a compliment, but it's also saying that just being aware of what's being said to me and how that affects my perception of myself. Not saying it's negative. It's good when people give you compliments. But that compliment, the way I hear it versus what's being said, may be two different things, and that's okay. But again, it's about being aware of how we understand the information that's been given to us, right? And this is just by the school system, the structure of everything, and this concept of the report card that stabilizes this identity and how we just carry these perceptions with us for many, many, many decades of our lives. And they make a decision on where we live at and the jobs that we go after and the risks that we take with our lives and who we associate with, and everything is decided by these mechanisms that had nothing to do with us. And we never even decided to give away that power to anyone else. We never even did that in that mindset. And so now we live in a world that has been created and morphed into this kind of like artificial reality. right? We got artificial intelligence. It's like artificial reality, meaning that we have everyone living in these modalities through indoctrination that are not connected to who they really are. That's what you see around you. You drive through in a neighborhood, all these people have been convinced that who are, and I haven't even brought in entertainment and movies and television, right? Music videos. We haven't talked about that, and we're not even there. We're just talking about education, the thing I'm supposed to trust. My teachers, the books that they give me, you know, this is how I build my perception. Because the issue is, why is this important? Why is it important to lay this groundwork? Because we're talking about moving into an era where the individual has more power than it's ever had, maybe since past generations that had technologies and ways of living that are beyond our imagination now. And perhaps maybe even higher, because we're so much closer to Mashiach than they were, right? So if we're saying that this exists, and this is the whole thing, how do we get to a place where the person can access this power of being an individual? How does this person defining themselves? How is this person defining time, space, and motion? Because everything that we were given was projected to groom us into individuals that integrated into a pre-designed society to utilize our strengths and our labors and our intellect to serve the system until we pass away. This is what the whole thing is. I mean, am I making this up? like, tell me if I'm making it up. You have a whole system that convinces people that they are determined and understood by what's outside of them. And from that basis, they assume servitude, they accept debt, all these different things, and they just work until they die. And then maybe they can leave some of that money to some of their descendants. But what did that have to do with their purpose in this world? What did that have to do with this correction of their soul? Did they explore that? Did they talk about that? But was everything passion driven? Everyone's living like that. Everyone's holding by this idea of, this is what the world says about me, so this is the way I'm going to live. This is what you're looking around you, and this is what you're looking at when you walk down the street. This is what the world says about me. That's what when you see a person, this is what their whole physical projection is. Even if someone is hiding their identity, that's even another definition. It may take a little bit more time to figure it out, but this is what the world has told them that they are. And so you have a whole society of people walking around with misdiagnosis of their uniqueness. And we're here to change our souls. We're here to correct ourselves. We're here to elevate ourselves. This is why Hashem gave us life. So not being clear about that and not understanding and looking at society in a new way, because this is the way of Mitzrayim, right? To see things as they are and to accept them for what they say that they do. That's Mitzrayim. But that we're not in Mitzrayim anymore. We've left that place, or at least a layer of it, right? Every year, maybe we leave a layer, another layer, and another layer, but we're getting closer to that ultimate experience of the Seder, the Pesach Seder. So this is the time to be in that avoda of saying to ourselves, you know what, I'm going to leave behind that way of thinking now. I have something to bring to the world. I don't even know what it is yet. I don't know. I have too many layers. I got to remove these layers, and I'm going to find out. My life hasn't even started yet. It hasn't even started yet. I don't even know who I am. And I'm upset. I'm depressed. I'm getting bothered by what? I don't even know who I am yet. I haven't even revealed the true me. I have external talents and abilities the world has seen. The world has not seen the real me. I have not seen the full me yet. I have seen glimpses when I'm by myself. And I know if the world could see this part of myself that no one else had access to, I know what they would be all over everything that I do. I know that. I know that's what the world is going to do. But I haven't been able to access that part of me. I haven't been able to access that part of me because I've been indoctrinated in a system, and so have my parents, and so have my grandparents been indoctrinated into this human system that has been designed to extrapolate my strengths and my abilities for the bidding of their society. And they showed me that my self-preservation is intact through their philosophical approach to a society. And so I've been indoctrinated to believe this idea to the point now that I don't even know even anything about myself. Now, everything happens for a reason, right? Everything happens for a reason. But how do I access this opportunity? If I'm a young girl from Texas, how am I going to access the power of all these gifts that God has given me and utilizing the social networks and the social media to express these talents and abilities and be able to flow with my truth and flow with my honesty? How am I going to be doing that when the world's been hating on me since I came out of the womb? How am I going to do that? How am I going to muster the clarity to see the koach and the power that I have and to feel safe with it and express it into the world through these conversations? That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here. These are the layers that we're removing right now. These are the layers that we're removing. Because if we see clearly what we were built from, we can say, okay. I don't even have to be mad at that. This isn't about like, oh, I'm now angry at the school system. No, we're in the world of Malchut. We're in the world of Asiya. That's the world that we're in. It has to be designed that way. Baruch Hashem is created that way. That the school system and all these things are empty promises and this and the whole thing's a construct and the whole thing. Baruch Hashem. Why? Because now I can focus on Hashem. Now I can focus on the Abester, the only thing that matters, the Rabbanu Shalom, the whole thing, the real reality. I can focus on that because if the school did fulfill me maybe even 1%, I'll be over there fiending like a drug addict. Being over there, give me another one, school, because it's right there, it's in front of us, we've been around it, it's indoctrinated. So imagine if school had the ability to give us any light. We'll be screwed. Game over. We will be not. It's like a guy. It's like, like guys. You think about it, like, once you're married, you think about like God, like, Hashem has so much koach, he has so much power. He could create things. He could bring people into your life. Like say a guy like they deal with issues with women. Guys that aren't really holding, right? But they deal with issues with them because they're in these type of environments and they have open, loose relationships, and that allows the Satan to get in that conversation and it grows. But you think about it, like these guys are lucky, that Hashem doesn't bring a woman into their life that could just remove all forms of intellect from their mind, right? She could possess such beauty and koach that you wouldn't even be able to control. So Hashem doesn't do that to you, right? He brings you the broken down person. You know what I'm saying? So just be lucky that Hashem does not use he has Rahmanas on you and the challenges that he provides for you. So this is the building process of new thought, of new reality. Because if I don't reassess reality, I will not be able to access the new reality. The new reality will be cloaked in this old perception of self that's not going to allow me to operate in a new world of creativity, of spreading light and spreading my wings and spreading my uniqueness to the world. It's not going to allow me to do it. So this is our challenge. This is what we have to get through. Because now I have to be able to be free, and I have to allow this virtual process of revealment of my soul to define me. This expression of myself virtually, this expression of myself digitally, right? This expression of myself that I'm taking my heart, my soul, my uniqueness, and I'm putting it on all the platforms created by God that allows me to connect to billions of people around the world. And even if I connect to 2 people through my post, that my kavana of the purity of my intentions of wanting to bring the final redemption through the purity and through the connection and the desire of what I'm posting, that's where I receive my bracha from. So we have to transform this whole position. We have to transform these definitions, because if we don't transform these definitions, we're not going to access the pure light that exists in this new reality. So this isn't about being angry at your school. This isn't about being angry at your parents and saying, well, why weren't you there for me? Why didn't you do this? It's like, no, Hashem, thank you. I'm only here to serve you. And you put me through these experiences so I could build the koach in the strength and the kalim to walk this route. That's why I had to be hated on. That's why I had to go through difficulty, because I never felt at home. I never felt safe, because God wanted me to experience true safety, a true bayit. That's what Hashem wanted me to experience. So this is what we're working towards. We're working towards being at a complete place of creative freedom, right? A godly place of creative freedom, right? And that godly place of creative freedom has no definitions. Like Lil Wayne had an album, No Ceilings. There's no limit. There's no end to what could be created, what could be manifest. You know, we have to connect to the original man and the original woman, right? And that greatness that they possessed before they fell into a world of the Nachash, the world of doubt. When they knew who they were, when they were completely free, the power and the radiance and the physical and mental capabilities that they possess, the spiritual capabilities they possess. We have to go back to that original human being, and we have to connect to that greatness. And as we connect to that greatness, we reveal the purpose of why we're here in this world. That's for every human being on planet Earth. And so my continuous bracha to everybody on this journey is just saying that it's okay. There's no need to be angry at anybody. Anger is a waste of time, right? Because everything was orchestrated by Hashem. Yosef told his brothers, yeah, I'm good with you guys. You guys, because of what you did, I was able to save the whole world and save my family. You know, your issues with Hashem. So the world of malchut, the world of emptiness, the world of lack, we can't be mad at it for being itself. That's a waste of thought, no? It's a waste of thought. The world was supposed to push us away. That was a sign of God's love. The people who are still stuck in there and still pursuing false light and false happiness without going on this journey, those are the people that you know, that's the ones you got to feel bad for. Not the one that Hashem pushes away, or it seemingly pushes away. Not the ones that seemingly have it harder, right? No, that's exactly where you want to be. Because the people who are in comfort in a world that was designed to be illusionary, let's think about that. Let's think about that. Right? Let's think about that. Be thankful that you've been through the struggles that you've been through. Be thankful that you did not fit in. Be thankful that you're rejected. Thank you. That's a sign of love. You know, I'm not gonna go into detail, but I used to work for this, company. It's a very big company. It was a music company. People know about it. Long story short, there was a really popular music act that was there, and I had a lot to do with who they were. And so earlier on in the career, when the music was really getting big on the radio, they were doing all these radio promotion tours, they're traveling around the country, and I wanted to go out on the road with them, you know. And the CEO of the time, you know, he said to me, he's like, "No, it's not for you. You shouldn't be out there on the road." And I'm like, "What?" Because I mean, a lot of it was like music and dance, and there's all these dance crews. So I wanted to go out there and meet the crews and like bring them in, like strengthen the grassroots movement type of thing, right? And so he's like, "No, it's not for you." Later, years later, I realized that, you know, on these promotion tours, it's all about hooking up with girls, right? And sleeping with girls and going town to town, this whole thing, and blah, blah, blah. And the CEO of the company had so much respect for me and how he saw me as a person that he did not think I was proper for me to be exposed to that, right? And so you look at it, and I felt rejected, right? I was like, dang, like, well, I'm not a part of it anymore. I'm not this, whatever. No, but down the line, I was able to see that that was the form of protection from Hashem, right? Because he wanted me to be here right now speaking to you in Eretz Israel. He didn't want me to get some demonic energy on me that would have guided me in unproductive ways. So be thankful for the rejection, and you know, let's start, you know, building a new world, new economy, a new reality, a new spiritual one. Baruch atah Adonai leolam, amen ve'amen.